Hi, and welcome back to Bible History Man. Today we're going to talk about the northern kingdom of Israel. Now, if you go and take a spade and you dig into the archaeology, the size and power and complexity of the cities in the northern kingdom of Israel is going to dwarf that of the south. You would think that it was Judah that was the breakaway in the south, and the north was the main kingdom that had been existing all of this time. And you could be forgiven for doing so. What's going to happen is that Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, is going to immediately have a problem when he breaks away from Rehoboam. You see, even though they were oftentimes unfaithful, at their core, the children of Israel were worshipers of Yahweh, and Yahweh is worshipped in Jerusalem. And what is going to happen to the kings of Israel in the north when the children of Israel go to do all of their worship in the south, in the capital of the south? Well, time is going to come when people decide, why don't we just serve the king who has God when we don't have God? Our place is going to be diminished. And so Jeroboam is going to try to solve this problem by putting up golden calves. He's going to place golden calves in his furthest south city, Bethel, and his furthest north, Dan. And as a result, now people can go to either Bethel or Dan to worship golden calves, which he has named Yahweh. He named the statues Yahweh. Yahweh was not amused. He's going to say that Jeroboam's kingdom is not going to last long, and he's going to give the northern kingdom to someone else. And it happens. Jeroboam is going to get wiped out. And there's going to arise a new dynasty, which is going to be known as the Omri dynasty. A guy named Omri is going to take over. And he doesn't get mentioned much in the Bible because while he was a great king in human terms, he was pretty pathetic spiritually. So Omri is going to do some pretty cool stuff. When people think about the kingdom of the north in Israel, they're going to call it the house of Omri. Even long after his dynasty is destroyed, they're going to consider it the house of Omri, just like Judah's the house of David. What's he going to do? He is going to establish excellent relations with Tyre. That trade relationship that was going on is going to be going on with him. He is going to make a brand new, beautiful capital city. It's going to be built out of ivory in his palace. It's going to be the talk of the town or of the region or whatever. And he is going to be a mighty king with all of his trade, and Israel is going to prosper like nobody's business. And these spiritual debts that he's going to rack up are going to come due when he promises his son and heir in marriage to the daughter of the king of Tyre. Ahab is going to marry Jezebel, and spiritual darkness is going to seep into the northern kingdom of Israel. Jezebel is going to be the moving force behind eradicating the priests of Yahweh. Even the golden calf variety, and replacing them with priests of Baal. And this is going to give rise to all those situations where Elijah and Elisha are going to be running around the place. And God's going to root that stuff out, given sufficient time. And were we doing a theological view, of course, we would talk about that quite a bit. But right now, I just want to talk about the historical bits. Now, you might notice that during the time of Ahab, he's going to have a lot of problems with the Arameans from Syria. A guy named Ben-Hadad or Hadadezer. And he is going to be constantly attacking him. Well, it's not because he's trying to take territory from him. In fact, Ben-Hadad is trying to get him on his side. And that's how you did it in the ancient world. You defeated people in battle, and then once they were defeated, then you made them sign a vassal suzerain treaty. And once they're your vassals, you can say, I require you to send me your troops to help me fight. And who was Ben-Hadad or Hadadezer having to fight? Assyria. Assyria is once again rearing their ugly head. And it's uglier than you may even think. Here's what the Assyrians like to do. They like to move into the neighborhood with overwhelming force. They like to move against the soft targets, anything that's not fortified. And then they like to do really horrible things. Torture, removing of limbs, removing of body parts, removing of heads, removing of skin, torturing people to death, sticking fish hooks in their noses. And they do all of this to terrify people. You might as well just surrender. You might as well give us everything you have. You might as well just do whatever we say, because we're the Assyrians and we're going to murder you in really horrible ways. And you see, Ben-Hadad was not in the mood to have this happen to him. He wanted to gather as large and powerful a force as he could to fight against them. And history tells us that is precisely what happened. That Shalmaneser III is going to run into a coalition when he moves west to, mostly he's just raiding, to plump up his pocketbook by raiding people and taking their gold and silver and stuff. Well, he's going to run into Ben-Hadad, or he's going to call him Hadadezer. And Hadadezer there's going to be a list of the troops that are in Hadadezer's column. And the second largest army, second only to that of Ben-Hadad himself, is going to be Ahab of Israel, leading his troops in battle against the Assyrians. And in fact, they're going to be victorious. Shalmaneser is going to be driven back. And Hadadezer is going to demonstrate his mastery over the situation. Now, we need to keep our eyes on these Assyrians, because the fact is that, I hope I'm not spoiling the end for you, but they're the ones that are going to burn the northern kingdom to the ground and deport their population with fishhooks through their noses, because that's something else that they like to do. They like to keep their component populations that they defeat unable to resist them. And the way they do that is they take people and they move them around and they mix them up so that they can't talk to each other in order to form a rebellion. This is a very different way of doing business from some of the other empires. The Assyrians are rightly hated, and they are going to suffer for it because everyone's going to gang up against them later. But for a brief moment at this time, Ben-Hadad is gathering his forces, and those forces are going to include the northern kingdom of Israel. Later, we're going to find out that the northern kingdom of Israel is going to abandon their alliance, at least when fighting against Assyria, with the Syrians, and are going to instead throw in their lot with Assyria. This is not going to work out particularly well with them, but that's a story for another day. Well, that's another one of my episodes. Thank you so much for watching the whole way. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I love to answer questions. And if you're interested in it, I would love to talk about it. Also, if you have any other ideas about things that I could tell you about biblical history, I'm always open to suggestions, because it's what you want to hear that I would like to talk about. Now, if you like biblical history, like I like biblical history, or even a fraction as much as I like biblical history, I have a book out called A Helpful Handbook of Hebrew History. And it's available on WisePath Books or Amazon.com, and the links are in the comments below. Now, I would recommend that you would read a book instead of listening to videos all the time, because as an educator, I know it's much better for your brain, especially if you're not an adult yet. If you're still a youth, your brain is better if you read. So I would recommend that you read that book.